No Walls Festival 2022. My name is Markus Vähälä, hailing from Finland, and this year's festival is all about transformations. Transformations in you, in us, in our environment, in our communities, and in society as a whole. Today, we are being transformed by TheatreWorkers Project. TheatreWorkers Project strives to transform public understanding of who formerly incarcerated people are. They do this by providing opportunities for members of the carceral and reentry communities to express their stories through theater, movement, and writing. They work to break isolation through artistic transformative justice practices. They will be expanding their services after a new theater program with teen moms at 3 continuation high school sites beginning in January 2023. Through the screening of Phoenix, a theater piece written and performed by members of the Francisco Homes residential re-entry community, and the panel discussion with the artist that will follow, we all hope to expand the audience's understanding of who the participants are, breaking the isolation felt by men whose identities have been stigmatized due to serving life sentences. And we welcome you, all TheatreWorkers Project members here. Welcome Susie Tanner again to the No Labels, No Walls Festival.
Thank you, Marcus. I wish I could be in Finland, but I am in sunny California, and this is really exciting. Really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this international community. And hello, Michael. So TheatreWorkers Project, as Marcus explained, is a performance-based project, and we work with a diverse number of participants. I would like to invite John Jaroge to say a few words about the Francisco Homes. That was our community partner for this program. Before we see the filmed staged reading of Phoenix. John.
Thank you, Susie. What a joy to be with you too. As you, everyone who is a resident in the Francisco Homes has come home after doing a long time away and come back to a society that we don't often recognize, and we don't know our place. So the title of this one, of the Susie, I don't know how you pull these off. Every time I see one of your productions, I'm just blown away. And you just keep besting yourself. I just have to get that shout out to you. But the title Phoenix really means something, because we become something new. We had been thrown away by society, told we were worthless. And the TheatreWorkers Project is one of the ways that we can start to feel human. And so that is really important to me. So let's pass it back over. I'm getting a little excited here because it was so nice to be part of this one.
Okay. And after the screening, we'll invite Anthony Coleman, who is one of our participants, and John to say a few words. I don't know if there's opportunity for audience interaction, but I guess people could put questions in the chat if that function exists. We'll also let you know how to contact us in case you're interested in knowing more about our work. So with that, I'll go off camera and mute myself and enjoy Phoenix.
to the Phoenix.
Fire,
A state of death.
Burning.
the flames, devastation, loss. In that pyre,
I was burned.
Start of disaster.
flames are licking,
confused, scared
insatiable flames.
of the human spirit.
The death.
No hope.
Burning. I see
Myself.
who has lived too close to death.
A middle-aged African-American man.
An introverted traveler.
Hardened like steel.
Struggling all his life.
I see lines of stern resolve.
I see sleepless nights.
The roads are deep.
A seed that was never supposed to grow, cast into a concrete gutter, discarded. A seed that could grow no fruit. The scene is the courtroom, the day that I was sentenced to life in prison. It seemed as if my life had been destroyed. The room was dimly lit. There were people, like the judge and the DA, who were sickly satisfied with their stripping me of my youth and humanity. And then there were people who seemed indifferent, like my attorney, who had little to say. There were those who watched me closely to measure my reaction. The only way that I could change that destruction would be to inject compassion into everyone, myself included, as there was no compassion in my offense, and compassion into the law, as I was only 15.
Destruction, men shaken in fear that their lives will never get better. Senseless suffering and misery. Confused, damaged, scared, no hope. Portrayed us as animals. They said we did this to ourselves. Devastating emotional aftermath. Spirituality so camouflaged we gave others a license to stereotype us as incapable of thinking the beyond the here and now. I see
Myself in a fight with the system, in a fight with the board, in a fight with the person they had me in a cell with, and in a fight with my mind and body. I see
Hands.
That violated so many.
hands that have offended and defended,
Damaging cars and trucks.
held guns, acquired treasure,
Hands pushing away those the mind does not like, too afraid to trust.
attached to an old soul,
I was at the bus stop at Figueroa and King, looking down at my hands, seeing all the bad stuff I did earlier in my life. I couldn't imagine it. It was crazy. Stop this madness.
Tired of the old ways. Hands wiser than the mind that controls them, used to build what the mind has destroyed.
These hands had gone through a lot.
2001, 25 to life plus 11 years. The California 3 strikes. A law designed to restrict, extract, and remove and eliminate the poor from society. Salinas Valley maximum security prison. The COs tried to make me feel less than I was being, defined by them as society's garbage. The atmosphere was dehumanizing, and most inmates like me had dreams and hope beyond recovery. In the chow halls and in the day room, I listened to the conversations and the jokes that hides the pain and disappointments, trying to find a bright side to their misery. 2003, my wife and my mom both passed. Emotionally, I was devastated. I see.
The unknown. At every corner,
Scary.
an inevitable fact of life. I see
Childhood.
Scotland. My sister, brother, and I were there visiting our grandparents. One particularly windy and foggy night, my grandpa told us a story about werewolves and about how they stalked the hillsides and glens looking for sheep and children that had traveled too far from home. When we were good and scared, he sent us to bed. We couldn't sleep as my grandpa had planned. He dressed up as a werewolf and stalked around outside and slapped the window with a werewolf claw. My sister fainted, and I'm pretty sure my brother peed himself. I ran out the door for my grandma. I don't think I slept for 2 days afterwards.
I love the outdoors, riding my mini bike all around the neighborhood. That was a fun time for me.
I had a lot of fun as I witnessed the Dodgers beat the Giants. It was my first time going to Dodger Stadium. It was my first Dodger dog. I would never forget that.
I can feel the sun on my skin and the sand between my toes. The wind in my face and the smell of the ocean. My father home early from work, taking me to the beach to fly kites. I can still see, as I reflect on those times, the streamers on the kite. I remember my father buying extra strings so the kite would go extremely high. I could see multiple colors of shirts, bathing suits, and shorts. It's like I'm right there.
Fire! Fire!
A state of death,
Burning.
The flames
Devastation.
life lost,
in that pyre.
I was burned.
a fight with my mind,
Loss.
Crazy.
San Quentin.
Lancaster.
Salinas Valley.
Disaster.
Flames are licking.
Stop the madness.
If you knew me, you would know. I have played in the highland snow. I have risen from the deepest low. My strengths are inward and not for show. I am strong and sharp. I do not crow. If you knew me, you would know. If ever you were in need, I would not say no. If you knew me,
You would know that I am helping out all the time.
I like going to work every day and earning an honest living.
I love baseball, linguiça sausage.
If you knew me, you would know.
if you knew me, you would know I'm a kind, giving person. If you knew me, you would know my word is my foundation. If you knew me, you would know I honor the God of creation. I'm loyal beyond cessation. I'm glorying in freedom's emancipation.
If you knew me, you would know I'm not a bad person.
I remember a lady had a house for rent. It needed some work. It was in a shambles. The windows were broken out, the doors had been removed, and even the thresholds were missing. Crackheads had been living in the building. The toilets were full of excrement. The cabinet doors were missing, and the smell of urine was overwhelming. There were even 2 stolen cars in the garage, and someone had cut all the copper water line out from under the property. I made a deal with the lady. She bought the materials, and I did the work. When I had finished, the house was a beautiful home for me, my wife, and my 4 children. I would cut the grass every Saturday and wash my cars as the kids played in the yard. I built a large playhouse for my kids in the backyard, and I can still hear them having make-believe tea or listening to the radio. I can still feel the plush carpet beneath my feet and the warmth of the heater as it rained when I made the kids' favorite, chicken and dumplings. I see.
My hands, the good, the positive.
my hands tired of the old ways, wiser than the mind that controlled them. used to build what the mind has destroyed, working together with a new mind to live, love, and build.
As 25 sets of eyes gazed upon me, I felt hot as my palms grew sweaty. That was my class presentation. In English 101B at San Quentin State Prison, we read a piece called Descartes' Meditations. In the reading, the subject questioned his beliefs and the significance of reality. He analyzed things as tangible or just thoughts. It reshaped his being. I realized that could be me. I never considered having a choice over the things I did or the way that I felt. Using myself as an experiment, I found that my beliefs were not of experience, but of subjectivity. I was living off what I saw or what someone had told me. I began to change my attitude and my way of thinking. I started using my life in another way for the better. I could still see the eyes and expressions on some of their faces as I told my life story. As I stood before the class and admitted my flawed thinking and behavior, I'm sweating like now, profusely. I received a standing ovation for the class and an A+. My life has never been the same. I know now that I'm the author of my life. I'm the editor and the writer. I am the actor. I know this is true.
The earth is turning nonstop. True.
Change is the only thing permanent in existence. True.
Nothing stays the same for 2 consecutive moments.
Pain is true.
I'm alive.
I fought the system because I blamed them for my inadequacies. But I felt that if I kept the hatred I had for the system alive in my mind, then I would beat them.
No solution can come through accusations.
I fought the board because I hated them for their abuse of power. And again, I felt that as long as I kept them out of my mind, I had beat them. I had won.
People have more power over their fate than they think.
I fought with my cellie to be humble and not let him get in the way of my path to freedom.
Everyone cares what other people think of them. It's just that sometimes we care about what the wrong people think.
I fought with myself to keep my mind, eyes, and body on the prize.
Character is built over time.
I was helpless then, and I wish that I had the knowledge and strength I have today, because I truly would change the outcome.
Personal responsibility is the gateway to self-control.
I have changed. I realize the value and importance of life in me as well as others.
Life is a learning process from beginning to end. Never stops.
After 7 years of incarceration, I found myself hanging around men who were thinkers. I always wanted to think before I act. After about 6 months of groups and long conscious conversations, I then decided to plant my seeds in the soil of freedom. The ultimate sacrifice was change. This is true.
What goes up must come down. True.
Gravity, nature, hate, death, life, feeling.
I know that people judge you on your past and not who you are now.
Everyone will die.
Our lives are only as long as the next breath.
God, heaven, Satan, COVID-19, inflation, prison, and racism.
Human spirituality is dim.
Karma is true. What goes around, comes around.
I have an opportunity to build a better life for myself and my family.
Everyone needs help at one time or another. This is true. I see
A rainbow.
change.
Out.
We experience how change makes us feel.
New sounds, cars, birds, roosters, dogs.
Let go of those self-defeating behaviors.
Being a father is a change for me. I wasn't in my son's life for 12 years, and now I have an awesome relationship with him. My son's mother and I were together prior to my incarceration. She was 4 months pregnant. I destroyed our relationship by not stopping and thinking about abandoning her and our unborn son. We've managed to repair our relationship. The flavor of forgiveness is indescribable. I'm proud of really being adult about my past behavior. When my son was about 5 years old, I heard his voice for the first time. It was a hot summer day at Lancaster. He told me, "Daddy, I love you." He loved me despite my absence. I felt on top of the world. That was it for me. I knew how I looked at my dad at that age. I had followed in his footsteps and started gangbanging. I did not want my son to see nor hear about his father being involved in any type of criminal gang activity. I made a conscious decision to change my life around. I became serious, and it paid off. The beverage of love quenched my thirst for healing.
Discarded as a seed that could grow no fruit, I was cast into a concrete gutter. But the branches of the tree that I became extended beyond the gutter, reaching out into abandoned fields that others thought could not be tilled. From those branches came fruit so strong that the seeds turned those fields into gardens.
And now I'm here, standing on 2 feet.
Free, sun shining.
The seeds of life are an interchangeable process. Sometimes we are the sower, and sometimes we are the one who waters.
Man's mind can be likened to a garden. It may be intellectually cultivated or allowed to run wild, but whether cultivated or neglected, it must bring forth.
At 15 years of age, I planted my emotional, psychological, and physical seeds in the soil of the streets. I tore down my community while convincing myself I was protecting the neighborhood. I became a thorn in the sides of the citizens of Los Angeles.
I fell by the wayside.
I said,
I will not give up on myself.
as I tried to come to grips with my existence, I joined a spiritual group in the chapel. I met Susan and Raj from Australia. They sat in a small circle with us, and I sat in their energy. The flow of God's love extended into the environment. Everything was multi-layered, way beyond the logical mind's conception of what I consider reality. We had a great group and wonderful teachings. I am mostly grateful how they accepted me and shared their lives with me. A rare and special blessing. If it wasn't for them and what they taught and instilled into me, I would have gone crazy.
I was given different seeds by my father. I'm a hard worker and I can fix almost anything. I also learned to be stern and callous to people. On the other hand, my mother planted seeds of tenderness, knowledge, and peace, which I myself would use as I found it safe to do so. I planted seeds of violence, indecency, compassion, love, and peace. I can now see where the seeds I planted have taken. Some were in fertile soil. Some were in rocky places. Some grew through the thorns and were choked and swallowed up.
I was planted in prison for my bad decisions. Later, I grew the bad seed and began to grow into a better plant that made better decisions.
I had to die in prison in order to rise a new man.
To become ashes in order to learn why I was burned.
The end is a new beginning.
To rise. Better men.
A full transformation.
A phoenix rising from the ashes.
New life rises from ashes of its predecessors.
The
Phoenix.
More than a story about overcoming, it is also a story about the struggle to transform. The fire is more than a destructive force. It is also the thing that the phoenix must use to purify itself. For the unrepentant, the fire is a failed opportunity in which a life of devastation becomes home. For the repentant, the misery of the fire is an awakening. They see and feel the pain and the misery. They act as if the fire doesn't hurt. They run and hide. They throw others into the hottest parts, attempting to satisfy the consuming flames before it overtakes them. The fire only grows larger and hungrier. Then they glimpse the chains that bind them to the fire. They begin to despise, resent, and hate those chains. Their preoccupation with the insatiable flames is usurped by attempts to escape them. As they struggle, they've noticed their reflection in the forger's mark, and they understand that they are the ones who have made those chains. They have adorned their body with them, ignorantly mistaking them as jewelry. They realize that it is the chains that the flames are licking at. With understanding and without fear, the phoenix steps into the hottest parts of the fire to burn itself free. The fire laps happily at the chains, consuming them to its fullest. With the chains of the past and all that has made them melted away, the fire subdues. All that is left are the ashes from which the phoenix emerges.
Emerging. A symbol of hope, renewal, rebirth, solitude, and grace.
Mental freedom has given me new eyes to see the vibrancy of life.
I had a tattoo on my back, and over time, it didn't represent who I had grown to be. So I had a red phoenix tattooed over it. To me, the burning phoenix symbolizes the death to all that was wrong in my life, and a new birth to all things new, like love, compassion, and equality.
During incarceration, my time went mostly towards introspection, reflecting on how life became this way for me. After about 5 years of eye-opening experiences, I started to realize my destiny was in my own hands. I grabbed a figurative toolbox and started to reconstruct my thoughts, words, and actions. I had to go to prison with a life sentence to fix myself. Once I had changed my thoughts, everything else started to change, even those I hung around. So I had to burn.
I was enchained by my anger and resentment. As I let go of self-defeating behaviors, I find freedom in being who I was always meant to be.
And in the struggle came the awareness of God's Spirit that lives within me. I see the Phoenix.
I always thought I could do anything I wanted to do And if there was a price to pay or a consequence to pay, no problem. Do it and keep on pushing. I adopted the mindset that I could get out of anything I got myself into. And I didn't have to change anything, especially the way I thought. Somewhere along the way of doing 35 years, I came to the realization that I was a hurt individual, and I thought it was all right to hurt others.
I don't fear the unknown anymore. Change is inevitable. Some people say that only the strong survive. What I come to find out is those who survive are those who are most amenable to change. If we're too rigid, we break like glass and shatter into the swirl. So I become flexible and amenable to change. Most of the lessons I've learned are no longer necessary for me to survive.
I'm a very different person now. Back then, wreaking havoc all over the place, I didn't have the tools. I know now that I'd learned from my mistakes.
The phoenix gives mankind hope and urges us to fight on. It asks us to keep up the human spirit.
I said,
I would not go back.
I have lived too closely to death.
I said,
I will not give up on myself.
freedom! Basking in the brightness.
I see a handsome face, so humble and full of grace. I see a little hesitation. I see there's no time to waste. I see a dark-colored beard that's soon to be gray. I see optimism, enthusiasm, and determination. I see motivation, love, joy, and peace. An extended hand for anyone that's in reach. I see my dad, my brothers, my son, my mom. I learned.
my thoughts are always changing.
All people who leave prison are not free, I said.
I've really changed from 14 years ago.
I like the roar of the crowd, but not necessarily crowded places.
I've learned that I can fit in and not stand out.
Although I'm 38 years of age, I want to be a son mama's proud to look at. Be a son that holds his own.
The world is full of an endless supply of interesting people and places. I said,
Freedom! I respect it and I honor it.
My word is my foundation.
I will be here for you.
I'm a very different person now.
The emptiness is gone.
I see freedom, justice, equality.
I am forever grateful.
I see the universe.
Welcome back, everybody, to No Labels, No Walls Festival 2022. My name is Markus Sahala. I'm from Finland. I'm hosting this event together with my colleague Michael Bierman from